From a 9-year midweek mayhem at Love Shack to 11 straight years of mad Thursdays at Happy Brew, tonight's guest has danced Bangalore from karaoke chaos to dance floor euphoria. He's the hip-hop house hustler, the model who moonlights behind CDJs, the Maldives to Kathmandu jet set jockey, DJ, KJ, actor, and a professional heartbreaker. Please welcome Martin D'Souza.
Thank you, Vicky. Good to be on the show. I know we've been trying to do this for a while, but yes.
Absolutely. No, but I'm glad to have you here, man.
Same here, man.
We go back a long way.
Yes, and I have to put this on record. I think when I first started my career with DJing, Vicky was there to help me, and he really helped me out a lot. And I didn't even know you back then, man. And very, very sweet and very nice of you to actually help with a lot of things.
So, Thank you, Martin. That's so sweet of you, man. No, but see, you always had the talent, right? You had the musical ear. You know, that's something how I spotted you first, like when I used to come to Opus. But let's rewind back right to where it all started. When growing up, you know, how did the musical influence happen?
So, you know, we all grew up in the era of cassettes and, you know, trying to get as much music on TV, which was very, very difficult. MTV used to play a lot of that music. So, you know, we used to come back home from school. And I think one of the bigger influences for us growing up in school was Nikhil Chinappa on MTV, right? We used to watch his show and then transition the entire evening into watching everything else on MTV. He was from my school. He's a Josephite.
Right.
And so, you know, you grew up in school saying, hey, man, that guy was in your school. And he's doing a show on MTV, which you watch so much, you know, because of the shows, because of the music, etc. And I think all of that kind of transitioned, watching a lot of TV back home and getting cassettes, which also was very difficult because you had to save all your pocket money to go buy a cassette.
Right. Yeah.
And listen to it at home. Back then, I think in Bangalore, there were a few music stores which you could go and do a demo of the cassette.
Planet M.
Planet M.
Yes.
Man, what an era. So I remember going to these places, listening to music at the store and then figuring out if I have enough money to buy a cassette. But that's pretty much how I think picked up a lot of music.
Got it.
But having said that, my family also used to listen to a lot of, you know, retro Bollywood songs. A lot of Kannada songs, a lot of English retro songs. So I think because they used to listen to a lot of music from back in that era, it kind of shaped a lot of my musical sense.
Right.
And also set a base, because I think it's so important for artists, musicians to know the kind of music that was there back then and how much of it has influenced the music that we are currently listening to.
So subconsciously, somewhere music was always in the background.
Yeah.
While you are focusing on your studies and, you know, looking at.
Yeah, trying to focus on my studies.
Right.
But, you know, back then, that was the only focus. It was studies or nothing.
Right.
And I think I have one regret that I have from my childhood is not having learned how to play an instrument. And I think that is something that I still think about. And I'm like, man, if I'd invested that time in, you know, learning a musical instrument, it would have helped a lot more in my journey today.
Transitioning from there to your college days, did you start going to the noon parties in Bangalore? Tell us about that.
Man. So, you know, I was in Joseph's PU and, you know, it was located in central Bangalore. So everything was close by.
Right.
Urban Edge, Sparks, and just the number of noon parties we attended, because that's the only kind of parties we could attend. I would probably never get permission at home to stay out late in the night.
Yeah.
And the only time that we could go attend these parties were in the afternoon. And it was such a brilliant concept, right? Because there was such a big group of college students who wanted to go listen to music and party.
Yeah.
But they didn't have permission to do so in the night. And this afternoon party concept really hit off very well.
Yeah.
So we used to pretty much finish college and then just go straight to party.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And it was such a vibe because you also got to meet people from other colleges.
Right.
And other walks of life.
Yeah.
In an afternoon setting. listening to music, dancing.
Yeah. Did any of the DJs that you hear to during that point of time subconsciously influence your style?
Yeah, I think one particular DJ who really influenced me and actually my college friends was Jasmeet.
Hmm.
It wasn't a noon party, but we all used to go to F Bar,
Okay.
the OG F Bar,
Hmm.
where Jasmeet used to play, and man, he used to play such great music, and you know, so much of R&B, hip hop,
Right.
the commercial music from back in that era, and it really shaped us into what we are today, I feel, because it was such a fun environment, and he was a very big part of my college group. So all my college friends are still friends with Jasmeet, and they still, you know, reach out to him, and they still hold a very special place for him. So do I think that made a very, very big difference. And of course, spin, I think spin really changed the way we looked at partying.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
you know, for me, you know, Cletus, Ivan, James, and then, you know, the other bars where Vachan used to play,
Yeah.
it really made a big
Right.
difference, because for us, a DJ like Vachan got in music that we've never heard before. We're like,
Correct.
man, what is this kind of music?
Yeah.
We didn't even know what it was called.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the kind of revolution, I would say, in terms of club music that
Right.
these artists brought in for us. And
Superb.
and it was great. I mean, I
Yeah.
think I had the privilege to listen to some amazing artists.
Cutting from there straight to when you landed your first job. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you were in the advertising space.
Yeah.
Right now. So now you have started making money, and then you have started going out to the night parties and all
Yeah.
of that. So how did the shift towards Opus happen, and what made you start gravitating towards live venues?
So Opus for me was my you know, chill out or go to venue, right? To go and relax and unwind. And we all used to go to Opus when we were in college. So they used to have a karaoke night, and my friends used to sing.
Right.
And you know, they used to sing. They were proper, great, amazing singers.
Yeah.
And we used to just accompany them and go to Opus.
Right.
None of us used to sing back then, and
Yeah.
none of us even dared to step on the stage to sing. We just used to go to support them, listen to my friends, and just have a great time.
Right.
That's how we started going to Opus. And I think for us, it was such a amazing vibe to meet people, like-minded people who are also there to listen to music, who are just there to have a great time. And I think that also helped a lot, because
Right.
you know, you're constantly being exposed to music out there,
Yeah.
and listening to singers from across genres. That also obviously added to the influence of music.
So how did you first? So when was the first moment that you picked up the mic and started singing?
Oh man, it's okay. So you know, one of my closest friends, Mayank, and I, and Mayank is now married to Megha, who's also a very close friend of mine. We used to go to support Megha,
Okay.
and Megha and my other friends who are also from college.
Right.
And when they were taking part in competitions, we used to just sit and watch them perform. Then one day we were like, hey, you know what? Let's also just go and have fun. So Mayank and I decided to do a song on stage. So we just got on stage and did a karaoke song, which is Pretty Fly for a White Guy. I'll never forget this song. It was a great experience, because Mayank and I also came from that era where we used to do a lot of mad ads, we used to do a lot of theater, a lot of public speaking,
Right.
take part in competitions in college. So we came from that era where we were very comfortable on stage, but we weren't comfortable with singing.
Singing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a very different ball game for us. But,
Right.
you know, we realized it's about having fun, and just got on stage and had a great time. And that's how we actually started singing.
Yeah.
I say singing because Shrav
Yeah.
heard us back then. It was
Yeah.
very, very different. Yeah.
Yeah, but karaoke is all about having fun, isn't
Exactly,
it? Yeah,
exactly.
globally, that's so.
It is.
what
It is all about having fun, and I
Yeah.
think that's what helped. I think singing with my friend, having your friends, you know, scream for you,
Right.
and just also singing along, yelling along, screaming along. That's pretty much how having fun on stage started, and then that's how it continued. We started in college. This kind of moved on. We missed being on stage after we got out of college, because like I said, we used to take part in a lot of competitions nationally. And once we started working, that completely cut off. And I missed being on stage. I missed performing. So did my friends. And then this was one of our only outlets to express ourselves on stage, right? Karaoke specifically. And this is pretty much why we did that, just to go have fun. One of these nights where I was just on stage having fun doing karaoke. By then, I'd also branched into doing solo karaoke acts on stage.
Right.
Because, the confidence had built up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said the story out before, and you also know these people. One of them happened to spot me singing on stage and walked up to me and asked me if I want to host karaoke at a new venue that was launching very soon. I was like, yeah, definitely. I don't have a job. I have the time to do this, so why not? And they actually called a month later, and it happened. That's how Love Shack began. And ironically, I had performed at Love Shack just when they had launched, because Behram, who does Best Kept Secret, used to be One Night Stand back then.
Exactly.
The band. So I used to rap with them.
Okay.
And that's how I'd actually been to Love Shack once, because we performed as a band.
Got it.
And then this happened. It was surreal, because I was back at this place where, I was there when it launched, and someone's asking me to do a Wednesday night there and to host karaoke, which I'd never done before.
Right.
And, it was something to do with music, which I hadn't had professional training with.
Right. Yeah.
And neither did I come from a strong background of music. Like I said, I'd never learned how to play an instrument.
Yeah.
Even with tech, I'd never learned any of it. And I said, okay. And we started Wednesday karaoke nights at Love Shack. And I'm sure you remember Aditi, Inat, Mona, who used to promote the night for us, along with Himesh, of course, who really shook the Bangalore nightlife with a Wednesday night doing 300 plus people, doing karaoke, where people are coming and singing. It probably was just unheard of. And it really changed a lot of things for me and for everyone, I guess, in the nightlife circuit.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't come from that background, but my friends were really, really helpful. If I had to name a few, I would say Sabrina Price and who you also know, and my friend Megha, who is my best friend's wife, and we used to go to support her. Megha helped me out a lot, and another friend of mine, Caden, helped me out. They helped me out to such an extent where they told me what kind of tracks to use.
Beautiful.
They even shared a few of the tracks with me.
Right.
And how to run karaoke, all of that. And then, of course, I sat down and did a lot of research with how to use karaoke software.
Okay.
I
remember.
Right?
We had
spoken about this, because the tech aspect was a very important aspect. And to me, being on stage or performing was never an issue as such.
Right.
But the tech part of it is what I wanted to perfect.
Oh man, I remember those initial glitches with virtual DJ karaoke and the other software that we ran.
Yeah. And then the projector, screen just suddenly going off. Honestly, I really learned it the hard way. It was like a kid being just thrown into the deep end of a pool and just learning to survive.
No, but the beauty of that is then when you know your tech in and out, you're unfazed. You always know how to fix it if it goes wrong.
Exactly. And I think that was the biggest advantage that I had,
Right.
is that I got thrown into the deep end, so I had to learn everything. There was no other way to handle this kind of situation. So I learned my tech, and of course, friends and family were there to support, and they were very, very helpful, man. Like I still remember the initial few gigs. So many friends just came out there to just support, and it was so beautiful. I don't think I could have been here where I am today without the support of my friends and family.
Right.
My sister, my cousins, they also really helped me a lot with this. And that's pretty much how I started hosting karaoke, Vicky.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So if I can gather a couple of things over here, one thing that I can really, probably reflect on is that Opus gave you a very nice stage, over which you built your confidence over a point of time.
Yeah.
And then who was the person, who spotted you and, said that,
Oh,
would
that
you
was
like to host?
Aditi Thaili. I mean, who
yeah.
used to work with Inayat, right?
Yes.
And they used to promote the Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
And she actually, again, it's such a small world, man. I was at a friend's birthday party.
Right.
And, everyone's meeting each other for the first time. And then this person just walked up to me and she's like, hey, hi, I'm Aditi and I'm with Inayat and Mona. And, we are looking at starting something at this new venue called Love Shack.
Yeah.
And by then I'd also heard about Himesh. I'd met Himesh as well. And for us, Himesh was one of those nightlife pioneers. So we all knew him and everybody knew Himesh.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you want to work with this team? I was like, hey, why not? And that's pretty much how it started. And so imagine from a customer at another venue to an artist at another venue. So it was again very surreal and a beautiful.
It's amazing that you are mentioning this. So Aditi was my batchmate in school.
What? I'm such a small
for
world.
2 years.
Okay.
She was my junior, if I remember correctly, and now she's in Goa. And she's hosting karaoke.
Yes, she is.
So last trip when I went there, she needed some help on the tech setup, and also I told her a few tips. But crazy, man.
It's crazy. It's crazy how it happens.
Yeah.
And man, like it. I mean, imagine like a birthday party. Everyone's just meeting each other, and then this happens. And the timing was beautiful because, like I said, I quit my job to figure out what I wanted to do with my writing, with my music, but I didn't have a vision, or I didn't have a pathway towards it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Superb. So from here, let's talk about the evolution or the shift into DJing. Okay. Somewhere along this journey, when you were doing karaoke, and karaoke was killing it, because if I remember correctly, the concept was that for, I think the nightlife deadline back then was 11:30.
Yeah, 11:30.
Yeah, so you would start like by 9, and till 11:15, I think we used to do karaoke, and only the last 15 minutes a DJ would play some music.
Yeah, we had a resident DJ who also started the night for us. And so again, like I moved into DJing because of this. It's something I've always been fascinated about, right?
Right.
But like I said, I never came from that background where I could figure out tech or figure out how to do it myself. And I remember I was so impressed with our resident DJ at Love Shack, Nick, DJ Nick. He used to play some beautiful music. Man, like I used to go there early just to listen to his music.
Yeah.
And I was so fascinated with what he was doing that I walked up to Nick and I'm like, hey, Nick, you know what? I think I want to do this as well, and I want to figure out how to do it because I'm very clear. If I'm doing something, I give it my 100%. I'm not going to go into it halfway and then say, hey, I don't know what is happening. I want to do this full time. So he put me on to ILM, I Love Music Academy, where he was also a part of, and he used to be a faculty member at.
Okay.
And he put me in touch with them, and I had a few other friends who had also just graduated from ILM.
Okay.
And I joined this DJ Academy, which was, I think, one of my best decisions in life. And I walked into the academy, I met DJ Sean. And, just meeting Sean, whose parties I used to attend, right? And I was like, man, this is the guy who used to play when I used to be on the dance floor. And he's the one who's running the academy. And man, I had some great mentors. I had, DJ Ivan, Vachan, who used to come give us guest lectures, who used to talk to us. And then I had Bobby, I had Niklesh himself, Jay-Z, and all these guys who were a bunch of such talented artists sharing their knowledge with us. And I think, again, the timing was so beautiful because at the point at which I was learning how to DJ, I had some great people around me, including TT, who I still say this with hip hop, and I always loved hip hop, and he really helped me out a lot with how to play hip hop.
Okay.
Right? And he was also one of the mentors there. And so it was, OG Bangalore DJs who you've watched, growing up and danced to, and they're teaching you. So it was great. So I picked this up from them, And I remember my very first gig, which was through the academy at Pebble. Again, Pebble was a outlet that we all used to visit to just go
Right.
party. And like my batch was performing at Pebble. It was amazing, man. Yeah.
And at this point of time, you had still not started DJing at Love Shack. You were only doing
hadn't.
karaoke,
Yeah.
and you were learning DJing side by side.
Yes. So I hadn't
Yeah.
started DJing then. I was still a karaoke jockey.
Right. Yeah.
I learned how to DJ, and man, but didn't know how to go about becoming a DJ who's performing.
Right.
Right. I always thought, hey, you know what? I'm at Love Shack on a Wednesday night with 300 plus people. I have a great platform to hop onto DJing and probably start performing at venues. And it was the exact opposite, Vicky. I didn't get a single opportunity to DJ anywhere. And I think it was a shocker. It hurt me because a lot of the other senior DJs whose parties I used to attend were really very hostile towards me. I could feel the hostility to an extent where I've had artists coming up to me and telling me to my face, saying, dude, listen, just stick to karaoke. And why are you doing this, etc. It was really weird for me because I'd never seen behavior like that.
And you couldn't understand what angle they are coming from.
Yeah, I couldn't. I just couldn't process it because I worked with a set of other DJs, senior DJs, who taught me how to play. And then, there are a set of other DJs who are also being hostile. And these are DJs I've known for years. Man, I'm a Bangalore boy.
And were they active in the market, and did they have a lot of venues under them?
Yeah, they were very active in the market.
Right.
See, I wasn't asking for a chance to play.
Yeah.
Right? But you shouldn't put somebody down either. And that's what happened to me. I think they really hit my confidence and they really put me down, and they were like, why are you doing this? Just stick to what you're doing. And it was that hostile.
And did you start doubting yourself, saying that probably should I even get into this? Because see, I think, did you also have other venues where you're doing karaoke at that point?
Yeah, by then I'd started hosting at other venues as well.
Okay.
And they were also doing well. So it wasn't like
there was no logic behind.
There was no logic behind it, right?
Yeah.
But I think the resistance was to the fact that I'm shifting from being a karaoke jockey to a DJ, right? And this is shifting from a karaoke jockey to a trained DJ, right? I learned how to DJ and I was mentored by some great people. So it was really weird for me that, hey, what is happening? And like I said, these are people I knew for years and years because I used to attend their gigs and I used to attend their parties. So it got really weird. It got really awkward. But I think somehow at the back of my mind, I was like, you know what? If I've made a shift from, say, advertising to being a karaoke jockey, I'm sure if I hold on enough, I might be able to do this.
Yeah.
And I did. And it was a struggle. I mean, for a year or more than a year, actually, I didn't get a single gig to DJ. And then I thought about it. I was like, hey, you know what? I have a platform. Right? Why don't I make use of it? So I actually went, saved up a lot of money, bought a controller, practiced at home because access to equipment was a big issue back then.
Right.
And so I used to carry my controller to Love Shack.
I remember, man.
Yeah.
I remember lugging that controller
man.
up and down the stairs.
Yeah, you can imagine 5 floors.
Yeah.
Sometimes the lift gave up. You just like carry it yourself.
Yeah.
And I used to plug it in. So I used to host karaoke till say like 11 p.m. and then 11 to 11:30 or 11.
I know you started with a very small set initially.
Yeah. I started with a very small set initially.
Yeah.
But then I realized that, if I'm not going to show people what I can do, then I'll never be able to grow out of this bubble.
Right.
And that's how I started DJing. And, people started listening to me. And then I remember Himesh coming up to me and he's like, Himesh and Tarun Arora used to run the place then. And they're like, hey, you know what? We're doing a Sunday brunch.
I remember.
So, do you want to probably, DJ?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Memories. Well, I'd forgotten about that gig.
So they asked me about this and I was like, this is what I've been waiting for, man. Like it's been more than a year and that is how it happened. And again, I'll put this on record and say this. I obviously, this is a year after learning how to DJ, but barely getting to DJ, right? So you're not at your best. But I remember how you really helped me out a lot, Vicky. And I remember you gave me a lot of tips and tricks.
I remember the chat that we had.
We had a really long chat. And I think mentally it helped me kind of overcome this lag that I've had for such a long time.
Right.
It really helped me, and I think I needed it.
Yeah.
And I considered you to be senior back then because you were already DJing quite a bit back then, right?
Yeah.
And you were part of the nightlife, because I remember you were also a photographer, nightlife photographer, right? And you were in the nightlife scene. You've done photography, you were DJing, and I used to really love your style of DJing because you were also very versatile as a DJ, and you could.
And this was the point of time, I think, when I'd come back from the UK.
Exactly, you had just returned from the UK,
right? And I think somewhere we were in the same boat, very like a lot of people were not pushing us forward, or like we could not understand how this system and why is the system functioning like this.
Right? And then I realized that it was a very closed system,
right?
And I think it was out of maybe insecurity. And that's where the hostility arose. And, I mean, there were enough venues for everyone to play at, right? And I really didn't get it, but we went through it, we did. But I remember it really helped me, and that one brunch gig really changed a lot of things for me. Because I remember you spoke to me about this, it really helped my confidence. You give me tips and tricks. Technically also you helped me out a lot, and I think that was one of those gigs that really changed things around for me. After this happened, I remember Richard Matthew asking me about a couple of gigs, and then someone actually walked up to me and asked me about hosting karaoke at another venue on a Friday night, which was called the Lost Caravan. It used to be on Church Street. And I was like, hey, you know what? I'm already doing 2-3 karaoke gigs a week. I want to focus on my DJing as well. So listen, this is my plan. Why don't I start DJing on a Friday night and build a property for you, right? Let's give it 3 months. Let's see how it builds up and how it shapes up, and let's take a call. And I realized at that point of time, music scene in Bangalore was shifting. A lot of other genres had come into Bangalore, but what was missing was music with nostalgia. And I was like, hey, you know what? Why don't we do like a throwback night? Maybe do like early 2000s or 90s set, or even maybe mix in some retro. So I'll do a Friday night designed accordingly, and let's see how it goes. And that's pretty much how I started a regular Friday night property at this venue called the Lost Caravan. And it really built up very well. And a lot of my friends, who used to come for karaoke, also started coming here,
following you,
right? And they also enjoyed that kind of music. And man, it was so nice to see them from singing to coming and being on the dance floor and being really supportive. So I think the environment really helped. Right? It was also music and one thing flowing to another. And I think just like throwing it into the universe and the universe giving it back to you, saying, hey, you know what? Finally, I'll give you a break. And it's pretty much that. And after that, of course, Viren Khanna, why don't you DJ for me? I said, I'd love to. And then I did a Saturday night for him. And then Richard Matthew asked me, hey, why don't you, do a gig for me? And then I did a gig for him. So it started off very slow. And I'll always be grateful to these people because, they gave me my breaks as and when it happened, right? So, and I also realized, I think you put in the hard work. And
the big break is around the corner.
See, I mean, people talk about luck, but I think luck has to meet hard work. Otherwise, it'll never fulfill what you want.
Absolutely.
And I think that's pretty much what happened. Viren and Richie coming up to me and telling me, dude, like, why don't you do gigs for me? That's pretty much how it slowly started off. So I also realized that people talk about luck, but without the hard work, luck doesn't work, man. It both need to come together for things to be fruitful. And I think that's when I realized, because I put in so much time into this, And when I got the opportunity, if I wasn't prepared
Right.
to play to such a large audience,
Absolutely.
I was also already hosting karaoke, but
Right.
being a DJ and playing music is very, very different. But it worked. It worked beautifully, and I think that's pretty much when I realized that hard work really pays off, and you have to be really patient. I think everyone has a different point.
Yeah.
And maybe some people will be successful in a month.
Right.
Some might be in 10 years, but I think just have to wait it out.
Right. And some of these names that you also mentioned, such as Viren, Richard, all of these guys are great talent spotters. In the Bangalore circuit, what I've seen is that, they're constantly innovating, they're constantly thinking, and they have an eye on what's happening in the market. So great people to work with.
I completely agree. And they're still friends, right?
Yeah,
And
of course.
so you've seen, again, I've been on both sides. I've been on the dance floor, I've been at the console, at their parties. So
Let's throw back to this one event that we did together, wherein I think the client came to you and they said that they wanted you to do karaoke.
yeah,
At that point of time, I think you're still learning DJing.
I'm still learning how
You are
to
learning
DJ,
DJing. So this was this beautiful brunch that we
Yeah.
played at. So you did the karaoke part, and then I think I started the DJ set somewhere around 5 or 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And then I played around 9 till 9, and then I charged them a certain amount to play for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then they loved the music. Then they said that, okay, we want to go for another 2.5 hours. Okay, if you want me to play for that much duration, then you have to again pay me the same amount.
Yeah, of course.
And then they agreed. I think that we were supposed to come back home together that day. We had driven together. And then I was like, man, this is great, because opportunities like these don't happen.
They don't happen
that often.
Exactly.
Yeah. So was that also like somewhere like a factor for you to look at DJing, saying that, see, if I do DJing along with karaoke, then I can give a complete 360-degree view to a client?
Of course. So see, at the end of the day, right, you're putting in this much time and effort, and you also want to see what comes out of it. I also need to be able to entertain people after they stop entertaining themselves, which is karaoke.
Yeah.
Right? Karaoke is pretty much that. You are having a great time amongst yourselves because you are singing, your family is singing along. But what after that? And I think that is where being a DJ really helps you push the entertainment quotient forward, because now you are also playing music.
Right.
They're also dancing.
Right.
And the vibe, the evening continues with this. Right. They're also thoroughly entertained.
Correct.
Because it's music at the end of the day that's bringing people together.
Course. Yeah.
And so why not have two different forms of music? Also, because I'm exposed to so many songs through karaoke, right? I know that my music base is strong. And I'm constantly learning from that end.
Right.
Why not put that knowledge into this and take it forward?
See, but tell me one thing. Do you think that starting off as a karaoke jockey and then becoming a DJ had a certain influence on your style as a DJ? For example, if you'd have flipped it, right? You'd have started off as a DJ and then, you'd have done karaoke, which is what I did. Like when I was in the UK,
this is what you did.
I used to host karaoke. Do you think if you would have flipped it, then, probably your style would have been different?
Definitely. I think my style would have completely changed. For me, confidence used to come by holding a mic, because that is how I started off. And it doesn't mean that I'm not nervous before I start off a show, right? I am, and I get those jitters. But the minute I start performing, it changes completely. And for me, because I started with karaoke, which the mic was a big part of, it gradually also dripped into my DJing style.
Right.
And I think today when I DJ, I love using the mic. And I think it's one of those things on my tech radar that I always mention that I need a mic. I carry my own mic as well, by the way, just in case. But it's something that I need because I feel like that's my style of playing music. Right?
Of course.
Depending on what kind of music I'm playing. If I'm doing a hip hop and commercial, I love hyping the crowd up. If I'm playing house or subgenres of house music, then I reduce the amount of mic that I use. And it's a big difference that I've seen in the last few years also, because I think as an artist, you also start understanding crowd a lot more differently.
Of course.
Because I know a crowd that's coming to listen to like hip hop or commercial music also needs a certain kind of energy, but people who are coming to listen to house and subgenres of house need a different kind of energy. And I also have to evolve and change as an artist depending on the kind of music that I'm playing. But having said that, I still have my own style.
Correct.
And that is something that I am comfortable with. And I think I give my best as a performer when I use my style.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, because karaoke is about showmanship, right?
Yeah.
And when you bring that element into your DJing side, you know, see, that was also a style that no one had seen, you know, initially.
Yeah.
You know, like when you started, probably people took a while to comprehend it.
Yes.
But over a point of time, it became your signature. You know?
It became my signature.
Right.
Yeah. And I say this, see, music and the dance floor experience has changed a lot over the last few years.
Right.
Like I said, when we used to go partying to say Spin or to F Bar or to Club X, man, we've never walked up to a DJ and requested for a song.
Right.
I say request, okay, not even a demand, which happens a lot nowadays. I haven't even requested a song, but it's very different now.
Correct.
And also our exposure to music was very different back then. So I learned music through a DJ only, right? Because I didn't have enough internet access,
right,
or there wasn't enough music out there on the internet for us to listen to and make our own judgments or make our own choices.
Yeah.
But now people also listen to enough music and they're so exposed to music. So they also know the kind of music that is playing globally, the kind of music they prefer. And hence that experience changes on the dance floor as an artist as well for us. And, you know, this is why you have people walking up to you and requesting and, you know, demanding songs. And again, I say demand is a very strong word. And I'm very, as an artist, and I think even as a customer, I'm very against it. You can't demand.
Right.
You request.
Yeah.
Simple, just request.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if it fits into a set, if it fits into that particular vibe, the artist will play it for you.
Yeah.
And again, I'm being specific about a club because a club is a very different environment, right? I mean, the DJ is setting the mood. The DJ is setting the vibe at the club. Let him do let him or her do their jobs.
So along the way, then, you know, like the club gigs started picking up, and, you know, then you were like doing private parties as well as, you know, your regular karaoke journey was happening. Then how did Happy Brew come into the picture?
Oh man, super interesting story and super timing again. I was already doing Thursday nights at other venues. I was doing Herbs and Spice, then I did Humming Tree, I did Take 5, and these were like, you know, these venues that really promoted music a lot, right? So it also got a very different kind of crowd to these venues. And at that point of time, a lot of changes with the music licensing and rules happened in Bangalore. So a lot of these venues, unfortunately, had to close down.
Right.
Very, very sad, because I think these venues defined Bangalore nightlife. And not only Bangalore nightlife, they put Bangalore nightlife on the national map.
Right.
And spread music.
This was because of the National Highway rule.
That was one of them, and I think the other one was the dance bar issue.
Yeah,
you know,
the
with the licensing
floor
confusion,
yes,
right? Like not letting people dance on the floor, etc. So there was a big confusion with this, right? And I saw that you covered this with Amit Roy on your episode as well.
Yeah,
very interesting.
Yeah,
watch it.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of changes happened in the Bangalore nightlife scene, and a lot of these venues unfortunately shut down. And at that point of time, I had just stopped doing my Thursday night. And Himesh, who was, you know, used to be the owner of Laugh Shack, actually reached out and he's like, hey, dude, listen, what are you doing on Thursday nights? I'm like, man, Himesh, I just stopped doing Thursday nights, so nothing as of now. He's like, wait, this is new place that we've set up called Happy Brew along with Rakesh, Raghu, and it's in Kormangla. Why don't we start it there? So I said, hey, you know, let me come and check this place out. And I went to the venue and I checked it out, and I really liked the vibe that it had. And weirdly enough, they used to only serve beer at that point of time, right? And we had this discussion saying, hey, you know, are you sure it will work? Because you're surrounded by bars and clubs that are serving, you know, all kinds of alcohol, but we are only doing beer. Then we thought about it and we said, hey, you know what? Let's just give it our best shot. And we actually did. And I'm still there.
Yeah.
You know, 11 years later, man. So, you know, clearly things worked out for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think like a Love Shack, Happy Brew also really built a community.
Right.
And it's great because even now when I travel on work or on leisure across India or across the world, I bump into people who've been a part of these two venues. And it's so beautiful because I'm also now playing for their weddings. And it's so surreal, right? That, you know, these are people who used to come from college.
Yeah.
I've seen them in their college life, college avatar, and now working. And
it's so gratifying, man.
It's so gratifying. Yeah. And it's so nice that they remember.
Exactly.
Right. And it's so beautiful that I think somewhere or the other, I feel like I've had an impact in their lives in some form or the other, or for a brief period of time. But it's great because I meet these people even now, and I see how they have transformed, and how they still remember, you know, this part of their lives, and I do too. And it's just beautiful that this is something that's come out of the kind of work that I do.
So then you were able to establish two of India's longest running residents. 9 years at Love Shack and 11 years now counting at Happy Brew.
It just happened, you know, because it ran successfully, and also I think we kept innovating. We didn't let it stagnate.
Right.
We kept doing different things to keep it going, and we still are. Like I said, the market has changed a lot from when I started off to now. It's constantly evolving, and I think that is very important, that we as artists also evolve, the clubs, the venues also evolve,
right? And
of course the crowd also evolves, because at the end of the day, you're there to soak in an experience,
right?
And I think if you do it right, beautiful.
Along the way now, so we know that, you know, you're focusing on your karaoke, and then you're doing like your house music and your hip hop nights, and then you were doing karaoke at private parties as well, and then you were DJing over there as well. When did the Bollywood angle start creeping into this?
Yeah, you know, it's so weird. Like, so people at clubs,
right?
A lot of them don't know that I can play Bollywood music, and I do. But I'm very clear with the bifurcation that I have as an artist. I love playing English music, which is, and international music, which is hip hop, house music, commercial music in clubs and bars. And that is what I want to do, because that is the kind of vibe I enjoy doing there. But when I do private events, I do loads of Bollywood music, loads of Punjabi music, loads of regional music as well, because that is the kind of crowd that I'm catering to at those particular kind of events. And I know my music. It's not something that's alien to me.
Pulling out a song and playing it.
So it's music that I know, that I've grown up to, because like I said, growing up, I also listened to Bollywood music. I also listened to regional music. It wasn't only English music. So that kind of helped. I also watch Bollywood movies apart from watching, you know, Hollywood movies. And it really helps because, and I enjoy both thoroughly. But I'm very clear with the kind of music I want to play at venues, and very clear with the kind of music I want to play at private events. And I'm very comfortable with shifting from English to Bollywood, back to English. And I think all of this is also possible because of the kind of base that we've had.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. It's also, I guess, experience.
Correct.
Because the more you play, the more you learn, and that's pretty much what has happened.
Right.
And I think you're really great at it as well. I've told you this before, Vicky, because it influenced a lot of music for me as well.
Right.
Because a lot of the kind of gigs that you used to do is the kind of music I loved listening to. Right. And it really, really helped. And like I said, I think as an artist, you have to keep evolving. You have
Correct.
to keep learning.
Correct.
And that's pretty much what I did. But that also meant I do a lot more hours at home on the laptop
course.
listening to music, because you have to keep yourself updated
Yeah,
with
and-
all kinds of music now, right?
Yeah.
I'm not specializing only in a particular genre, but because when I play at clubs, I
Right.
do certain kind of genres. When I
Yeah.
do private events, I do certain kind of genres. You know the pulse of the crowd, and you are playing according to the pulse of the crowd. And if you want to shift the mood, you can also do that, because
Correct.
you know the other
Exactly.
genres of music.
Right. Right.
So yeah, so I'm very clear about that kind of bifurcation that I do. Hence, I don't do Bollywood in clubs,
Right.
and I enjoy the kind of music I do in clubs and bars, and I intend to continue doing so.
So along with all these venues that you're doing now, how were you able to add another venue? That's Watson's.
So Watson's came at a time when COVID just kind of got over. And like I said, I used to do Love Shack, before COVID. And once COVID hit, they didn't renew their license and that place closed down. So I had like my Wednesdays open, and Joy, who was the programming manager of Watson's, had reached out to me earlier with regard to doing something there, but I didn't have a night open. And then suddenly a Wednesday night opened up. So he called me and he's like, hey, you know what? What do you think about moving your karaoke nights to Watson's on a Wednesday night? I was like, yeah, let's do this. And we started Wednesday nights. And we started at a point of time when there was absolutely no crowd, because COVID had just was still pretty much ongoing. So there was a time where a Wednesday night at Watson's used to have 20 to 30 people all coming for karaoke. Still a lot of fun, but much more intimate, because you knew all the 30 people inside the venue. And I think we just carried on with this, and I was very clear about this, that if we are building a property, then we are going to be patient about it. It's going to take time, and luckily the venue and the management was very supportive. They also believed in the concept of building a property, and that we do as much as we can to build this property. So we stuck on to it. It took about 6 months, going through patches of 30 people, then maybe 50 people, then maybe 100 people, then back to 50 people. So we went through that phase, but the key was patience, because we were doing this through an era where people came out of COVID,
Of course.
were still scared to probably step out. So we stuck through that and we fought our way through, and you see the result now. I think it's amazing that I had support from the venue as well to work on the property, to be patient about it. And man, one of my favorite nights. I love being a part of these Wednesday nights at Watson's, because it's so much fun meeting different people, meeting people from all walks of life, people just coming and having a great time, people singing, screaming, shouting, dancing. Man, it's amazing.
How did Manisha become a part of this? So I think Manisha did a first karaoke gig at Watson's, was it?
Yeah. So, you know what? So, for those who don't know, Manisha is my sister. And technically, Manisha is the one who started doing music before I did, even before I took it up as a career, because she was singing from school. And she's always been part of the choir. She's been singing and performing, but she never got into this professionally. I think one of the Wednesdays I was supposed to travel out of the country for an international gig, and we needed someone to substitute for me at Watson's on a Wednesday night. And our regular people who used to substitute for us weren't available either. Then Joy called me and he's like, dude, what about Manisha? And I was like, what about Manisha? He's like, why doesn't Manisha host? I was like, man, she's never done it before. And I've never thought of it. But if you are confident, I am confident. If you are confident as well, then speak to Manisha and speak to her, because I'm not going to come in between this. And Joy reached out to Manisha and asked Manisha if she wanted to substitute. And I think Manisha did an amazing job that night.
Right.
Because the place was as packed. handling 300 plus people crowd is not easy, and I think she did a great job. She kept her calm, and that's pretty much how she started off as a karaoke jockey. And then she took up a Sunday night property at Watson's Vasant Nagar, which is her property, and she's doing an amazing job. She's built up the Sunday night really well, and she's doing other venues as well.
Yeah.
And so that's how she got into this, and now she's also DJing. She learned how to DJ at the music school.
Amazing.
And she's doing a great job, man. And I think it was more destiny that she do this than I do this. Yeah.
Does she influence your playlists as well?
Yeah, you know what? So, like I said, I think we all grew up to a very different kind of music. And I remember there was this one gig where I was supposed to do like a new age hip hop set. And it's a kind of music that I'd never played before. You know, I'd heard it in certain places, but I'd never performed. Right. And I remember I took a month. I didn't take up the gig because I was very clear that I have to be prepared for this gig. I asked them for 1 month's time. In that 1 month, I really worked hard at that thing. And I spoke to her about this. And she's like, yeah, okay, I'll tell you what we are listening to, what we are vibing to, what our generation likes. And of course, I also reached out to a few of my other friends who are in that age bracket. And it really helped because I think after that 1 month of prep work, when I went and played at that gig, it was an amazing gig. And I ended up doing so many hip hop gigs after that. And when I say hip hop, I mean new age hip hop.
Yeah.
And it helped. That 1 month of work and of course my sister helping me out with the kind of suggestions that she gave me really helped.
So now in your timeline, we are looking at a point wherein you are doing DJ gigs. You know, that part is doing very well. Then you have karaoke set. How did the modeling and acting come into this?
You know what? Technically, modeling, acting was my first job, first paying job. And it's the first thing I ever did even before I did advertising, even before I got into DJing and hosting karaoke. I got very lucky, and it's one of those very filmy stories. Okay, I was in college, and I think I was 19 back then, and I was walking on MG Road to go catch up with my friends, and at a particular coffee shop which was very popular back then, and everyone hung out only on MG Road, Pretty Road back then. This lady walked up to me, and she's like, "Hey, you know what? I work for a production house. And we are looking at casting for an ad. Do you want to be a part of it?" Honestly, I thought it was a prank. Because my friends are very capable of doing it, because I'm very capable of doing this to my friends. Okay? And I was just looking around, and I'm like, are these idiot friends of mine around trying to pull a fast one on me? And I just laughed it off, and she told me. And then she looked at me and she's like, "Hey, you know what? I know you don't believe me. This is not some MTV Bakra episode which is happening," which was a prank show, very popular from back then. Hold on. She called a colleague who came and handed over his visiting card to me. And that's when it hit me. I looked at the card and I'm like, man, I did BBM as a course. So I studied business management, and I studied production houses, advertising agencies, etc. So I knew of the production house, and I'm like, oh man, this is genuine. Okay, I'll come in for the audition. And I actually went in for the audition. I didn't get the ad, but I got the next one. And that was my first television commercial ever.
Which production house was this with?
Nirvana Telefilms. Nirvana, yeah. And they're one of the biggest production houses in the country now. They've done some amazing work. Amazing work. And the lady who had asked me about this, her name is Maxima. She's doing really well. By the way, she's won a Filmfare Award. She's into costumes now in the Bollywood industry. So she's doing amazingly well. Very inspiring and very talented. So that's pretty much how I got into this modeling acting phase or career. And then I did a lot of print ads after that, did a lot more television commercials. That's pretty much how I started doing this. And it was in college when I was 19 years old. My first paycheck came through an ad. And it's something I really enjoy, Vicky. And like I said, I think after a point of time in life, I realized that I want to do things that I enjoy, and I
Yeah.
will do it as long as I enjoy it.
Right.
I enjoy it as much as I enjoy music.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I don't get to strike a balance between the two because of my schedule where I'm traveling constantly because of gigs. So there are a lot of shoots that I miss out on, some really amazing shoots I miss out on. But I guess it's part of the bargain, right?
Of course.
Yeah, this is what I've chosen.
Yeah.
I can choose to
Right.
probably slow down on this and jump onto
Yeah.
this. But I guess, like I said, I am enjoying both, and I will do as much as I can in both the industry.
Walk us through your first international gig.
Man, I think I've just lost track of it.
Huh.
But I do remember one particular international gig that I did, and I think I wouldn't forget this gig. It was in Nepal, and my first time in Nepal was because my friend was getting married, and I also happened to be playing for his wedding. But I was also playing at a club at the same time, right? So I was going to Kathmandu in Nepal, and we had a few friends from college who are from Kathmandu, and they told us so much about it. But I'd never been there, nor I had the opportunity to hear enough about it.
Right.
Man, I walked into the streets of Kathmandu, and it blew my mind. Their nightlife is so beautiful, and it's so amazing, Vicky. I really hope people get to experience it enough because they have a lot of live music, and they have a lot of DJs playing. So they have a lot of bars and clubs that is a mix of both, right? And nightlife there is on till 6-7 a.m. They have the top, they have a club which is one of the top 50 best clubs in the world, LOD, which I got to perform at as well. And I think one of my best experiences till date, because I was performing at a club which was, I think at that point, the 49th best club in the world. Now they've gone up on the ranking. Just the experience of playing in a club like this, you realize why they're up there on the charts. And the people who are running the club are doing such a fabulous job of this, Vicky, and especially a friend of mine, Rabin, who's now become a dear friend of mine. Rabin Shrestha, he's one of the owners of the club, and he runs the club along with a lot of other places that he's established and run. And just the way they keep it going, and they're constantly innovating. And the kind of acts that they get down to the club are unbelievable, both international and national acts. And I think I was very lucky, very privileged to be a part of that kind of a nightlife environment. And it's something that's very close to my heart. And I think till date, I think one of my best experiences was playing in Kathmandu. I've done Maldives, I've done Sri Lanka, I've done Europe. So I've done at a gig at Amsterdam. I've done one recently at Lake Como in Italy, and Thailand, of course, a big private events market now. And I think I've been very lucky because it's been a balance of private events, which is like weddings, which has been corporate events also, and it has been club events. So it's been a mix of everything, a lot of learning, because you're constantly exposed to different kinds of crowd across the globe. And I think it's shaped me a lot.
Of course.
And I love traveling, okay, Vicky? And all the money I make goes into traveling, okay? Most of it goes into traveling. Yeah, it's my blowing my steam off.
Right.
And I'm blessed that my work lets me travel. And it's not only international travel, but also national travel. And I think I take pride in the fact that I've traveled quite a bit in India as well. And India is a massive country. And I think a lot of us don't explore India enough. And I've been blessed enough to do that through work as well. And I think I've realized that one thing over the last few years is that I do this job because I enjoy it, right? It's my passion, but it's also a job.
Right.
Hence, I have to be professional about it.
Of course.
I have to give it my 100% and behave a certain manner when I'm at a gig. And it's so important to be professional and passionate about what you are doing, that it helps everyone.
Talking about balancing professionalism with passion, is that where Salim came in?
Man, it was like a boon. I don't like. So I'll tell you what. Okay, I was looking for a manager a few years ago
Okay.
itself because I couldn't handle the amount of workload that was coming in, and it came down to a point where it was killing my creativity because I had to manage my own gigs. I had to manage speaking to people. I had to chase my payments down. And I had to go and perform in a club with a smile on my face.
And you had to download music and stay
Yeah,
updated. And you had to handle karaoke. And you
Yes.
had to balance your modeling
And social
assignments.
media.
Right.
So I started looking for a manager and I met a few people. Nothing worked out because I think I always knew the kind of person I want to be associated with and the kind of person I want to work with. And I think my personality is very different when it comes to working with someone. I think at times I've been too nice or too casual about a lot of interactions when it comes to money, especially. Right? If someone tells me, "Hey, dude, like I'll pay you later," I used to be like, "Ah, okay, cool. I mean, it's you, so I'm okay." And then that later became a month, a year, and sometimes never. So I really suffered a lot with this. And I think the biggest issue with handling everything myself was collecting payments. It's one of the issues that is plaguing this industry and is very difficult because you've put in the work, but you're not getting the money out, and it's very disheartening. And I think that is pretty much when I met Salim.
Right.
And you know, Salim was doing a different role at that particular point of time. And we never really spoke too much, but we interacted a little bit. And then, you know, over the years, we kept bumping into each other, meeting each other, you know, common artists, common friends. And then one fine day, I was like, hey, you know what? Salim was also looking at managing an artist. I was also looking at a manager. And we met, we spoke. It instantly clicked because I think Salim tells me the truth that I need to hear.
He's a very forward-thinking person.
Yeah, and he's very upfront about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I think it really helped getting him into this environment of mine. Because now it's been about 2 years, and of course a lot of transitions had to happen because, like I said, I've been in the industry for a while, and I think I've built great relationships over the years, and they're still very dear to me. They're still very great friends with me.
Yeah.
But I think at some point of time, like I said, it's professionalism meets passion.
Absolutely.
Right? I think a person needs to manage the professionalism aspect of it because there's only so much one person can do. I don't want to be that person who is forgetting details, forgetting you know, a few things during the discussion. Because I want to be the creative person, and that's the focus I want when my performance is in front of so many people. And I think that is where Salim brings in a beautiful balance of managing that for me.
See, and if I may add in over here, because the whole performance part is just one aspect of it, but the work starts right from the booking.
Exactly.
You know, and you know, the style of managing yourself is something that you define in your way. You know, and I think that is what helps you deliver what is exactly needed at the end of the show when you do it your way, because there's a process in place.
Exactly.
Right? And that's where you transcend these personal boundaries, wherein as a friend you're always available to people whom you have forged relationships with, but as a friend. So, but the minute it falls into the professional spectrum, it has to go through process.
Of course. And I think that is where it is so important that this happened for me. I would have loved this to be materializing many years ago. So I'm really grateful for it, that there's somebody who's kind of taken off a big load off my shoulders and helping me work on my art much better. But like I said, it's something that I guess had to just happen over time, and I'm really grateful for it. I think the bigger aspect of this is that I feel like a lot of my money that is owed to me has started coming out on time. I think payments is the biggest bane for all of us. Just running around to get your own money, and this has happened so much with me, Vicky, that it's very painful. See, I'm very close to my friends, and I really value friendship.
Yeah.
So I've had friends who've been friends with me from my childhood.
I know.
Same thing even with the industry.
Right.
I don't consider them to be colleagues. I consider them to be friends.
Yeah.
And it's so unfortunate that a lot of these people have actually kind of broken that professional aspect that needed to be there.
Right.
And in fact made you feel guilty about it. And it's so unfair when someone doesn't get paid, whatever the circumstances.
Right.
And I think now having Salim on board kind of balances that off.
Amazing.
Because I want to stay away from that.
Yeah. So
Salim
what aspects does Salim exactly manage for you?
He does pretty much everything from the booking, discussing with the client,
Okay.
Collecting the money, probably also telling me, hey, dude, listen, I think you should play this kind of music for this kind of crowd. So I think I got very lucky because Salim is also an artist himself.
Yeah.
He's a DJ himself. He's worked at a DJ academy, and he has managed other artists before. He knows the music industry in depth because he also knows the kind of artists that are there in the industry, what is happening in the industry. And I think it is so important that you come from that perspective, because you know what is happening. See, at the end of the day, we are two very different personalities, Vicky. And I think with a lot of things, Salim is my exact opposite. I think people have only seen the calm side of me. They haven't seen once I lose it. And if I lose it, I really lose it because I think I stand for a few things when it comes to, say, justice for work. And you better not mess it up because I've put in the hard work.
And these are non-negotiable.
These are non-negotiable. See, I also have salaries to pay out, Vicky. I'm paying Salim. I'm paying my videographer. Right. I'm paying the content people. I'm investing in music. I'm subscribing to music websites from which I buy music. I'm investing in equipment, right? And everything involves a lot of time, effort, and energy.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really unfair that you screw me over with this financial aspect of it.
Right.
Not done.
Right.
And I think that's why I've become a lot more firmer with this than from what I was.
Yeah.
And I think that is also what has happened with me over the last few years, that a lot of processes have come into place.
Yeah.
Also with Salim coming on board, it's become much stronger and more rigid with processes. Things like discussions about payments, discussions about timelines, everything needs to be on email.
But are these processes that you're putting in place, because you work with a lot of Bangalore's nightclubs, and are these processes that you're putting in place, are they generating the results that are expected?
So most of them are. I think some people are still rigid with adapting to it. They don't want to put anything on text. It's just all verbal communication, and it doesn't work. Man, we all are human, and there's only so much that our brains can process or remember. And I think it's only fair that you document everything, so that you don't miss out, and neither do I. Right? I mean, as much as you're bringing to the table, I'm also bringing to the table. And I think that rigidity needs to change in the industry nationally. But I think change is happening to a large extent. A lot of the clubs and a lot of the event managers have adapted to this. I think a lot more people need to get into this process-driven bookings. Yeah. And I think a lot more people will get their payments on time, or at least get their payments.
On the weddings and the corporate sector, I know that these processes are a bit easier to enforce.
Of course, it is.
But when it comes specifically to the nightclub scene, are there venues, let's not talk Bangalore for a moment, probably like if we talk outside of Bangalore, is it easier to for you to put down your terms and conditions saying that, okay, only if you give me a certain deposit upfront or an advance, then, I'll confirm the booking?
Honestly, it is. I think doing it out of Bangalore started off being much easier than doing it in your own city. I think it also comes with your experience as an artist, right? I think you've built your way up to a certain point where you can ask for it.
Right.
And when you're doing this with outstation gigs, uh, a lot more people are willing to pay you an advance, send it on time, clear your payment on time, arrange for your travel, stay,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And it's a much more smoother process.
Yeah.
And you see that difference in your own city. It's unfortunate that it doesn't happen as much.
Right.
It comes across like you're being taken for granted. And again, it's unfair to the artist. But I think people play the relationship card in the industry, and I think it's unfair, right? Everyone's obviously built a relationship, and it's great you've built a relationship, but you can't expect a person to go through the agony of having put in the hard work and not getting paid for it. And I mean, Vicky, you and I, or any other artist for that matter, I think have commitments. Right? We also have to pay bills, and we also have to feed ourselves, feed our families. I think it's only fair that we get compensated for the work we're doing. We're not asking for anything extra. Just give us what we deserve. And I think the Bangalore market, to a large extent, till about a few years ago, went through this crisis. I think now a lot of us as artists have realized it, and I think we're putting our foot down and being a little more stern about it, and not taking up gigs if you're not giving me an advance, right? Or you're not putting it on email, or you're not giving me enough details. I'm okay with not making that amount of money or sitting at home on that particular night.
Of course.
I'm absolutely fine, but I don't want to go through the mental agony of chasing you to get that money out for the work that I've already done.
Right.
I don't want to go through it. And I've become very clear about it. And so is Salim. Luckily, we're on the same page with regard to that we're absolutely fine with not doing the work at all if there's no guarantee of us being rewarded for what we're doing.
Currently, all these TikTok and Instagram edits that they are dropping, right?
Yeah.
They are all 60 seconds long. On a dance floor, kids scream if you play the song beyond the first drop.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think this is killing long form mixing?
So it is killing the long form mixing, but it is also putting up a challenge for us DJs to be able to mix it as quick in and out and still hold the attention of that particular segment of the crowd and the other segment of the crowd. It's a challenge, but I think we have to adapt to it.
Every ladies' night advertises free drinks for ladies, okay? Do you think this concept allows people to feel entitled, and that's why they come into the booth and they end up harassing the DJ?
Okay, so as per my observation, it is not so much entitlement of the crowd that is coming for the free drinks. I feel like a lot of the entitlement comes from the people who are actually buying the drinks. And I feel like they think if they buy a bottle of beer, they've bought the DJ. And I have personally faced this a lot of times where people are so entitled that, like I said, they don't request, they demand something from the DJ. And I think that's not nice at all. And like I said, sometimes, of course, on certain guests, not only ladies' night, certain guests are given a certain kind of treatment in a club. It can be a part of the promotion, it can be part of the promoters getting them in. But I think a few of them do feel entitled because they're being given a special treatment. And that entitlement reflects on us at times.
Absolutely.
And we bear the brunt of it.
But is there any one particular incident that you'd probably take as an example and then tell us how you walked through it and what happened?
Yeah. So I've had this one time where this girl walked up to me and requested for a song. And we weren't doing that genre that night, right? We were only doing English music. And I think she asked for a Punjabi song. And I was very polite about it, telling her that, listen, we don't do this genre of music tonight, but the venue does this on another night. So you can come back on that night and ask for it. But I'm very sure I can't play the music, right? I didn't give her false hopes. And she was very rude about it. Her response was extremely rude. And She told me, she like, do you know who I am, etc., etc. And her attitude changed completely, and then she walked off. A few minutes later, uh, she told another friend of ours, you also know him, he's an artist, and which is what I think irritated me even more, that he walks up to me and he's like, hey bro, do you know that girl out there? I looked at that girl and I'm like, yeah, she just came and was very rude to me. He's like, dude, she's a big influencer and she has a lot of followers. I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, bro, play a song, no, bro. Like, she's got a lot of influencers. So I just looked at him and straight out told him that, bro, you are a fellow artist. I don't think you should be coming and asking for this, because it's very unfair. You know exactly what it is. We don't do that genre of music at all on a particular night. And I'm very clear that I can't oblige to her here. So he also walked off. And then she actually walked up again and was very, very cocky, saying that, you wait and watch, you see what I'm going to post about you, etc., etc. I was really irritated, and all this is happening when I'm also playing.
Right.
Okay, I'm mixing songs, I'm studying the crowd and playing according to that.
Yeah.
And in between all of this, these conversations are happening, which is very unnecessary. And I just had to politely tell her that, listen, if you're going to be rude to me and if you're going to abuse, I'm not okay with it. Just because I'm smiling and talking to you, I'm not fine with it.
Right.
I'm going to call the bouncer and have you escorted out of the venue. So it's your choice. Do you want to stay and continue having a good time, or do you want to stay and continue ruining my night? So you decide, and we'll take a call accordingly. And to be truthful, they were having a great time, all her friends. Because it's one person, they're not going to ruin their own night.
Right.
She sat in the corner, quietly sulked all night.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the night, she realized what she did was wrong, and she came and apologized. So
that's good.
Yeah. And this is the more sober stories. But, there are a lot of other things that obviously we can't discuss on camera. But people get really rude, and they tend to get very, very rude. Not only when I'm DJing, but also when I'm hosting karaoke.
On the karaoke side, have there been any incidents like this?
Yes.
Wherein things have gotten blown out of proportion?
Definitely. I've had people who've come and told me, I know the owner, I know the manager, I know this government official. There are people who've come and given me their press card, saying, I want to sing a song.
Just to sing their song
next.
sing
the song next. They're like, they throw their press card down and they're like, I want to sing next. And man, we had half an hour of closing. Okay. And like I said, there are 300 other people who I have to be fair to, and they've come so much, in earlier and requested for the song. And that has happened to me, where he's been really rude about it. So multiple incidents. I've had people who've got physical with me and threatened me, tried to hold on to my collar, and I'm very clear, I don't put up with any of this rubbish.
Right.
I'm there to work.
Yeah.
And I immediately call the bouncer, get them escorted out, because I don't think anybody should tolerate with any kind of violence, be it physical,
absolutely,
or be it abuses, right? Because I'm here to do my job.
Right.
You have no rights to abuse me.
Yeah.
And it gets really ugly. I've had people who've jumped onto me, Vicky, who've jumped onto me, physically jumped onto me because I didn't play the song, and I was really, really shocked. It happened, and I think you were there that one night. This happened at Love Shack a long time ago.
Yeah.
And this girl actually jumped onto my shoulder and held on to me. And I remember all of y'all were around trying to get her off, and we had to finally get the female bouncer and get her out of the venue. Yeah. But I've had people who've come and threatened me, saying, dude, you know what, you see what I will do. I know this, I know that cop, I know this authority, that authority. And I'm just really calm about it, because I don't see the point.
Yeah.
It's one song, and I don't understand how you can make a call to somebody
Yeah.
saying, "Man, he's not playing my song." Guys, come on, man, it's ridiculous. And I'm doing my job. I've had people who abuse me like this,
Yeah.
and I've told them the same thing that I don't think you'd appreciate it if I walk into your office, you're
Right.
sitting at your desk, and I walk up to you and abuse you, saying, "Man, you didn't do this. Now do this."
Yeah.
Why should you, right? I'm unrelated to your job. You're the expert at your job. I will let you do your job.
Yeah.
I am the expert here, and let me do my job. Don't tell me what to do. Don't throw your weight around.
Right.
Don't try to use influence.
Yeah.
Don't try to abuse. Man, we've all gone through it. We are experienced enough to know how to handle it.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think the reason I am there doing my job is because of a certain credibility.
Correct.
Right? And
Right.
I think you should just trust in that credibility and have a great time. Don't ruin it for me.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it for others. Don't ruin it for yourself.
Specifically talking about Bangalore nightlife, okay, sound limits, early curfews, rising cover charges. What do you think is one thing that is currently killing Bangalore's nightlife?
I think just the fact that rules and regulations with regard to nightlife in Bangalore are so vague, I think that is really killing the nightlife, because there is no defined rules and regulations when it comes to music, when it comes to a nightclub setup, or when it comes to a bar setup, when it comes to location,
Right.
right? And when it comes to safety aspect as well. And I think that is something that's changed a lot over the years in Bangalore. Bangalore used to be a super safe place. I don't think it is as safe now in the nights. But I think that is something that needs to be worked towards, because it is an industry at the end of the night.
Of course.
Right? It is contributing to salaries.
Yeah.
It is contributing to taxes. And its overall contribution is very, very high. And in fact, Bangalore's contribution is one of the highest in the country.
Right.
And I think they should regulate this and take advantage of the fact that it is an industry that is providing so much employment
Of course.
to so many people, apart from the entertainment that it is providing. Just keep it to that,
Yeah.
and make sure that everything runs like a well-oiled machine,
Right.
so that enough revenue is generated, which can be pumped back into
Back
the
into
industry,
the-
pumped back into the city, and make it a even better city to live in. I think that is something that has to be focused on and regulated.
So according to rumors that we have heard, a few headline DJs pay to get prime DJ slots for some of the gigs in Bangalore. Have you ever been offered, or have you ever come across something like this that has been slipped across to you as an opportunity?
It's an extremely interesting question. Yes, it has. I've actually had an organizer tell me that, and not in so many words about paying them as such, but pretty much like a barter system, and expecting something more out of me in terms of a payment with another gig. So, saying that I will put you as a headliner for this particular festival. And if I do that, then you play the next 2 or 3 gigs for free. I obviously said no, because it just doesn't make sense. And I think you have to be there up according to your credibility.
Of course.
And it's also very unfair that you're doing 3 gigs for absolutely no money. Having said that, I also know that certain artists, of course, have paid their way through to perform at a certain slot in a festival or in a club lineup.
Right. What's your take also on the barter system?
You know what? I don't think I'm in a position to comment on that. I
Right.
can only give you my opinion. See, certain people do it for the money, certain people do it for the passion, certain people do it for both.
Right.
I'm very clear that if I'm working and I'm putting in so much of an effort, I need to be compensated for it financially. Some people maybe don't need that money, and they are okay to take that financial hit. But instead of getting a financial compensation, they are okay with probably getting the limelight. I don't think I'm in a position to judge anybody. I mean, do it for whatever you are doing it for. But remember one thing, that if you do it once, it doesn't stop at that.
Exactly.
It is going to compound, and the next few gigs will be the same, and you will probably never be able to make money out of this as a profession, and you're not going to be able to scale up, and you're going to be extremely unfair to other artists who I think are probably equally talented or more talented and deserve an opportunity.
But are you saying this like because you have seen people who have accepted barters and then they have been stagnated, you know, and then they have gotten to a point wherein they have not grown because they've just gone into a system of like wherein neither of them are making money?
Exactly. So, which is why I said, I think everyone has a different perspective of this, right? Some people are doing it for the money, and some people maybe for the fame or the popularity. And, you know, maybe it will help, maybe it won't help, but you have to be smart about it, of course. But like you rightly said, I think a lot of times because of this, the nightlife industry has been affected very badly because of what you are doing by either doing a barter system or by cutting down the prices, right? You are directly, I'm not even saying indirectly, you're directly affecting the other artists in the market.
Right.
And these people have worked really hard to get to where they are, and they are doing this as a means of feeding themselves, right, or feeding their family members. Now when you do this, it immediately affects them because maybe the promoter or the manager or the owner of the place tells this particular person that, hey, you know what, why should I pay you your market value?
Right.
Because the other artist is willing to do it for free. So why should I pay you the same amount?
Right.
I'd rather pay him, or I pay him a minimal amount. Let him play whatever music he wants to play. I just want to fill up the night. But that is affecting this particular person.
Of course. Yeah.
And it affects all of us.
And in a long run, the club just ends shutting down after a point of time.
Vicky, you and I have seen this happen. We've seen this happen in Bangalore itself.
Right.
And we have seen how the quality deteriorates.
Right.
Right. The minute you are not giving quality to people, you might not see it affect you on one particular night. Might not see it happen in a month's time. But it will happen ultimately, because the minute you bring down quality at a place, people have enough options, and people are also well aware to shift their choices or shift their, you know, opinions about that particular place and move to another place. And you're affecting yourself. You're so indirectly affecting your own club, because it will ultimately shut down or get affected. And so many artists who are dependent on this, you're affecting them so badly by, you know, bringing the market value down. So in fact, Vicky, I've had artists who've gone up to managers and owners and told them, hey, why are you paying Martin this amount? I will do it for 50% of the amount. Just give the night to me. And, you know, you're spending half the amount. And it has happened because, you know, luckily enough, I think all of us are blessed enough to have enough connections in the industry where it ultimately comes and reaches you. And these are people I've known, and this has happened with me, and this has happened with a lot of other artists as well. And I'm sure it would have happened with you, where someone, you know, goes and pinpoints at a certain artist saying, don't pay that artist, pay me a smaller amount, and I'll take over his night.
Have there been any incidents wherein fellow DJs or artists from the industry have blatantly tried to copy your concepts without any homework or without any logic behind it? And how have you dealt with these situations?
I think it has happened too many times. So I've had artists who've come to my nights and attended it for a month, figure out how we market the night, what I do during the entire night, and copied the same concept, gone to a venue that is literally next door and done the same thing, including using, say, pictures of themselves from the same venue and marketing that particular venue using a picture from our venue. This has happened to us, and how to deal with it, I think, see, personally from my night perspective, I continue giving what
The
quality that
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
give and the venue has to give.
Yeah.
We continue doing that. Maybe innovate here and there to make enough changes to keep it fresh
Right.
and to keep people wanting to come back to the venue. I've confronted the artist directly, and I think I've done this enough number of times where I just pick up the phone and call that particular people, because these are people who we know,
Of course.
who've done this, right? And speak to them and call them out on it, I guess. But see, there's nothing to do beyond that, right? You can only inform them that, hey, I know exactly what
But they
you've done.
continued with the night.
Yeah, they continued with the night.
Yeah.
But
And then
obviously it
eventually
didn't
the
last.
night. Yeah. Of course.
Lasted a month or two, and then eventually they had to close down.
Does being the handsome DJ boost bookings, or does it just add distractions in the booth?
Let me quickly go and check my bookings now. Okay, so I'll tell you what. I think certain things that, thank you, first of all, but I feel like an artist is a complete package. It's not only about how you look or about what kind of music that you play, because I think the market has evolved so much, and I would say unfortunately that the evolution has come in such a manner that I think art is being taken away from a lot of gigs, unfortunately, right? But having said that, people are looking at a complete package. They want an artist who will interact with the crowd in a certain manner, who has a good social media following,
Yeah.
and who's constantly updating it also to match the pulse of the crowd. They want good music.
Yeah.
Okay, if not great music, they want good music, and they want certain performance aspects during the night to keep the crowd engaged and to get more content out of that night, right? So like I said, unfortunately it has become that now.
Yeah.
Right. But when it comes to looks, I honestly don't think it's a long lasting thing, because maybe it'll get you one booking, maybe
Right.
it can get you two bookings, maybe it can get you three bookings. But if you are not performing that particular night, and if you're not giving it your 100%, and if you're not pleasing the crowd
The
with your
shelf life
music,
is limited.
you are done.
Yeah.
Because, man, I mean, there are hundreds of people who are looked at as good looking,
Yeah.
and then all those 100 people will be behind the console, right? So like I said, nothing is long term.
Yeah.
At the end of the night, your art speaks
Right.
and your passion speaks. That's all that matters. All these external factors might help you get you an opportunity. Maybe
Yeah.
it'll get you one, maybe it'll get you two, maybe it'll get you three. But if your work doesn't speak for yourself, then you're out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the current Instagram trends is also DJs going shirtless. Okay.
Yeah.
So will we ever see Martin D'Souza?
I'm just going to the gym after this. No, man.
No.
I mean, I think, like I said, see, when I'm at the console, I'm looking also at my comfort. Okay. I mean, sometimes half the clubs we are at are either too hot or it's too cold.
Yeah.
So how do you decide, right? Like, do you take your shirt off, or you like shivering all the time?
Bangalore weather is not conducive for it, you say.
Bangalore weather is not conducive for this. And man, people are sweating, because like packed dance floor, people are sweating. People have alcohol all over their hands. People have, it's just so much dirt. From a hygiene perspective, I'm very uncomfortable with it. Extremely uncomfortable. Because you don't want random people coming and touching you. It's just icky, man. I mean, but yeah, from a hygiene perspective, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
But if I'm comfortable with it, then why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm good with the way I dress up right now. I'm very comfortable with it, and I'm going to stick to it right now. Yeah.
Since Salim took over your management in 2024, give us a ballpark average of percentage increase in fees per year and number of hours that you have managed to save per week. These two metrics.
I'll be honest. There has been a fee increase. I think one very important aspect with Salim coming into the equation is that I think I realized my worth in the market, or I've realized my brand value.
Which I kept telling you for a long time, Marty.
Yes.
See,
Vicky
because
kept told me for many years, guys.
Yeah.
Not 1 or 2 months, years.
Yeah, see, because what happens is as you keep pushing the bar higher, you know, the collective bar also goes higher if you are a thinking artist.
I think I've reduced the number of gigs I do during a week drastically. I used to average 6, I think 5 to 6. I've reduced that drastically, and I'm very selective about the kind of events that I'm doing now, very selective about the venues I'm playing at, very selective about the kind of music that I'm also playing. And of course, increasing the price also helps, because now it gives me enough time to go back home and get enough sleep,
Yeah.
Reduces stress levels, and also helps me work on more music. And I've always wanted to make my own music, and before getting into this industry, that has always been my perspective, that I want to make something, I want to create something. I think I've been creating experiences all these days. Now I want to create my own music and take that forward in this trajectory, my career trajectory. And I think health is something that is so important. Physical, mental health, and our hearing is something that all of us just don't focus on enough.
Absolutely.
And I think I've realized all of that now. So hopefully I will last longer in the industry because of these changes that I'm making.
We know that you're constantly active on social media, right? Be it in the terms of posts, reels, or stories. Okay. IMS carried out a survey in 2025, and they said that for DJs, social media pressure is more than performance pressure. Okay. So, what's your take on this?
So I completely agree with this. I've used to enjoy social media before, just getting on Instagram, Facebook, seeing other people's updates, seeing what's happening out there. I hate it now. And I honestly, now I try to stay away from Instagram and WhatsApp and Facebook as much as I can, because it really has a very strong bearing on your mental health.
Of course.
Right. According to this survey, I completely agree that it's much needed as an artist. Of course, it's much needed, because you need to constantly be active and tell people that I'm still out here. This is the kind of performance I'm doing, and also let people know where you are playing, when you are playing. Marketing itself is such a big aspect of you being an artist.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I think it's draining your energy out of you, because now you're constantly spending time on this, and it takes away your time from you working on your art.
Yeah.
You spending time with family, you spending time with friends, you spending time with yourself. And it's so unfortunate that social media has the word social in it, but it's making you the exact opposite a person.
So one thing, what I've already noticed is that a lot of people who are artists, especially, they prefer to keep the creative part to themselves. So this is where I think you haven't let Salim handle that part.
Yeah.
And you want to do it yourself, because there's a certain credibility and there's a certain aestheticness, that comes to it, as well as you want to be in control of what content that needs to go out. Is that a part that you have ever thought of, like subletting or letting someone else handle it? But especially again, coming from a creative and advertising background, I think somewhere that would have also driven your thought process behind this.
Salim keeps telling me this, that I need to let him handle that bit of it as well and take that burden off. I think it stems from the fact that when I communicate on social media, it's a very personal communication.
Right.
It's pretty much as how I would speak to someone in person, inviting them to my event. I would want to invite them to my event through social media. And I think that is where I am stuck. And I'm not being able to maybe pull out of this and hand this responsibility over to somebody else to do this. I think I should, because it will also give me a lot more time and give me a lot more peace. There are few things that I still do because I think about what I put out there, and that is something that I still need to outsource or maybe offload to somebody else who understands how I am thinking about social media, and how I like to connect with people. And I think that is very important. It's the connection with people who follow you on social media.
Some venues book Instagram influencers, to play at their gigs for half of the price that you are charging. Do you think this is just showbiz or is it market reality?
I think it's a bit of both. And at the end of the day, it's a business. The venue has to make money to survive, and they are going to do everything possible to increase revenue, but at the same time decrease their expenditure. I'm not saying I agree with what they're doing or disagree with what they're doing. As long as whoever has been booked to perform gives their best and is able to do justice to the night and to do justice to the people who've come there to enjoy and to have a great evening, I think it's fair.
We know that some international acts are being paid thrice the amount that you charge, or like generally artists charge, and then these guys are bought in, and then they are not able to really create an impact. So have you ever had a standoff with promoters, or have you tried to understand what's the concept or the thought process that goes behind this, and why do these promoters not invest on local culture instead?
So I think this has been one of my biggest discussions with fellow artists and promoters, that I feel like local talent is not promoted enough. And in a city like Bangalore, I think we have some amazing local talent who know how to entertain people, who know what to play, who know how to make sure that everybody has a great evening. I get the other perspective that they're looking at a international artist booking from a branding perspective. I get that perspective, but you can't be unfair to local artists after doing this. There have been so many times at venues where I know on a particular night I'm bringing in this much revenue to the venue, probably around the same amount of revenue that an international artist is bringing into the venue, and they are spending 3 times or 4 times as much as they would spend on me, but making the same amount of revenue. Right. But like I said, I understand the brand perspective. But you can't be unfair to me or any other local artist by doing that, because there are so many times, Vicky, that I ask for basic production. I ask for, say, a good decor. I ask for certain things to be done in terms of invites. I ask for certain things to be done in terms of even basic equipment for me as an artist. And a lot of times when you decline it, in spite of them booking other artists like this and spending so much more money, and that I'm not okay with. If I'm getting you this much revenue, then you also have to be fair to me in helping me push that night as much.
Of course.
And I've had a lot of debates about this with venues, with event promoters, and it's a ongoing battle. Sometimes they ultimately agree, but a lot of times it's a long debate. And you also need to remember that you're spending so much money on one particular night. The crowd comes in for that particular night, and say they have an amazing experience in terms of the ambience, in terms of the production that has been done at the venue. Then they come back the next Saturday night when a local artist is playing, and none of that is there. But the music is amazing, the artist is amazing, and it's unfair to the artist, because the crowd immediately starts judging the artist based on this, because it takes a lot of factors for it to be a great night. music is not the only factor, the performer is not the only factor. The ambience makes a difference,
Right.
right? The way the place is set up makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest mistake a venue does is doing it all on one night and not doing it the next particular weekend, because then you're breaking the flow.
Right.
And then these people who want to come regularly to a venue will stop coming.
Absolutely.
They're not getting the experience they want, and it's so random.
Let's say we fast forward to 2040. Okay. What are the things that we can expect coming out from the D'Souza family?
Wow. Like I said, I think my plan in this industry has always been to make my own music. And that is something that I'm working towards,
Okay.
and consciously making an effort to put more time towards it.
Right.
So every year I take like a month's break from weekend gigs and I just focus on music production, working on my music. And I'm doing that the following month as well.
Is this independent music that you'll be releasing on Spotify? Are you looking at doing originals?
It is.
Okay.
It is originals, and that is what I'm looking at. And hopefully in as many years, other artists will be playing my music and people will be singing my music, and hopefully I will be playing my own music, not only other people's music. And that's the aim. And I've always said this, I dream big with whatever I do, and I put in the faith and I put in the work to do it. And my aim will always be to win a Grammy or to win an Oscar if I continue acting. But that's always the dream. I dream big, and hopefully I will put in that kind of work to get as close to it as I can.
Superb.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Right. Are there any final thoughts that you want to put in before we call this a wrap?
I think you've been doing an amazing job with this podcast. I've been following up with the guests that you've had. A lot of learning for me as well, by the way. And it's so nice to see people I've worked with.
Yeah.
And, people I aspire to work with on it. So it's beautiful. Thank you for having me over the show. And like I said, you've had a big impact with my DJ career, man. And I think you've been one of those people who've really helped me out when I first started off. And I'll always be grateful for that. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin.
And you're still like that. I don't think you've changed at all. You're that one person I know I can just call anytime. Any help, even if it's a tech related thing, you'll sort it out and you'll figure it out and tell me. That's something amazing about you, because I think you're always constantly updated about everything and you're constantly innovating. So kudos on that.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to all the other episodes as well.
Absolute pleasure. I mean, it was a great chat. And see, a lot of people know bits and pieces of your life.
Yeah.
But, I think it was great to string them all together.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy, that you have grown so much. And, there's like no limit to it. And I really wish and pray that you grow more. Thank you for coming on the Vic Fix.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for having me over.
Thanks.
Thank you.